Welcome back to Hammer Horror in Order. I'm Josh, and I'm joined here with Tiana
Hey.
and Donnie.
Yo,
The professor wasn't able to make it. He had to work late, right, Tiana? So he's not going to be here this week.
Yeah.
Unfortunately for him, he's missing a pretty good one here because, and also he's missing the end of the addendum part of the series for the last 4 or 5 months. We've gone back and kind of filled in some of the gaps where there were a handful of movies that we had missed as we were watching. The whole point of this series is to watch all the Hammer horror and thriller movies in the order in which they were released. And then we had some viewers point out, like, well, what about this one and this one? So we went back and we double checked the list, and we've been filling in those gaps and watching them. And this is the last one. So
Yeah.
starting next month, we'll be back on track. But I think it's a good way to end this little addendum part of the series right here with Scream of Fear.
yeah, some were, in this addendum series were, certainly some were better than others. But yeah, like you said, good way to end it here.
Yeah, it's definitely been hit or miss. I mean, there's been a couple of them that were pretty good, but for the most part, it's kind of been mid,
Mm.
middle of the road hammer fare for us, for the last handful of months. So at least we had a pretty good one with a lot of twists and turns here for this one. I'll say that. This one,
Yeah.
we need to tread lightly, right? Talking about this because we don't give away spoilers, and this would be an
Yeah.
easy one to do that, I think, because of the way this movie ends, and that's the big payoff. Is once you watch this, you'll see. But this one is really well done, and like even when you think you've got it figured out, they still throw another curveball at you. You're like, what, wait, what? I guess Tiana, is this the first time you've seen this one?
Yes.
And what did you think of it?
Very good. Very well paced. Actors and actresses were very well done and very twisty. That's for sure.
Not,
Because I thought it was going one way and it went another.
oh yeah, well, I mean, like I said, I mean, I think you get to a certain point where you think you've probably kind of got it figured out, and then bam, it smacks you in a different direction. But
Yeah.
what about you? Is this the first time you've seen it?
Yeah, first time watch. I haven't watched a whole lot of the Hammer movies, but I never found this one. So
Yeah.
but no, you guys kind of said it all. There's times when it just pulls the rug right out and from under you.
Yeah.
You're just like, wait, what?
Yeah, no, I didn't quite expect it. And I think it's very there's some Hitchcock, some Alfred Hitchcock type feel to this.
Yeah.
But I'm honestly, this is the kind of movie. I guess it's the kind of movie also as well. Like once you've seen it, you've probably, that's it. It's probably not a multi-viewing type of movie because once the cat's out of the bag, right?
Yeah, jigsaw.
Yeah.
But you could probably go back at least one more time and kind of pick some stuff out. Maybe some stuff you missed or whatever. But um, yeah, I mean, it's really well done. This released in there in April of 1961, and you may or may not know it as two titles. It was Taste of Fear. I can't remember which is which in the UK or US, but it was known as Taste of Fear and of Scream of Fear. So you may have seen it under either title. Now, as far as where this falls in this series, it falls between episode 12 and 13. So if you go back in the archives and check those out, that would be between the Two Faces of Dr. Jekyll, which was episode 12, and then episode 13 was The Curse of the Werewolf. And this would have come out right before The Curse of the Werewolf did there in 1961. And actually right after the one that we watched last month, which was Stop Me Before I Kill. And that one's one of the stars in that one was Ronald Lewis, and he's in this one again, he's the chauffeur in this movie. So 2 in a row for old Ronald Lewis here for
Hmm.
Hammer Horror and Order. This one was directed. It's a first time director as far as us here on the Hammer series. It was directed by Seth Holt, and it was produced and written by an old name for the Hammer Horror series here, Jimmy Sangster.
Hmm.
It stars Susan Strasberg and Todd, like I mentioned a second ago, Ronald Lewis, and the return of Christopher Lee. It's been a while. Like I kind of had to go back. I'm like, man, we haven't seen Christopher Lee or Peter Cushing in a minute. I don't think any of the Addendum movies had either one of them in it. I had to go all the way. No, it didn't. I had to go all the way back to, ironically, that I just mentioned it. Episode 12 had Christopher Lee in it. And that was the Two Faces of Dr. Jekyll.
Hmm.
That's the
That's
last time we've seen either one of them.
that's probably why we kind of skipped over them.
Yeah.
I mean, not really, because not every Hammer movie has them
Well,
in
true.
it.
Yeah, yeah. Especially that's the to the point is that like I think we are kind of in the middle of this stretch with this movie where Cushing and Lee weren't in everything. I think they had finally started to expand and they were making more movies by this point in 1961. So now they're starting to introduce a couple new stars and Ronald Lewis, because I think he did a handful of movies for him, and Oliver Reed did a handful of movies for him. So now you're starting to see some new blood kind of into the picture. So Lee and Cushing weren't in everything like it seemed like they were for a while there in those early years of Hammer. But it was nice to see Christopher Lee back in it. Although I will say it kind of felt like a waste of Christopher Lee.
Yeah, he wasn't in it very long. That's for sure.
It's a supporting role at its definition, because he's,
Hmm.
like you said, he's barely in it. And honestly, like you would have wanted to see him a little bit more. And in the way things turned out, once again, we're not doing spoilers. He didn't really serve a huge purpose, I don't think. If you think about
No,
it.
he did not.
Yeah,
Yeah,
maybe.
you could have
Yeah,
got anybody to do that.
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Maybe they're just trying to like, look, Chris, do you mind hanging out a couple days and getting in here so we can slap your name on the poster? Sure, because story wise, he had something to do with it, but it's not as big as they play it. What do they call that? A red herring?
Hmm.
I think he's kind of a red herring in a way, not to give anything away,
Yeah.
but he's kind of a red herring in the sense of like you think one thing about him, but then it turns out to be another kind of thing in the end. So, but it was still welcome to see him back. Like I said, we haven't seen Lear Cushing in anything in a while. So yeah, I mean, it's a really well done. It's a suspenseful thriller type of movie with some horror elements. I wouldn't call this a straight up horror movie.
Hmm. No.
It's more of a suspense thriller, but it does a good job, like you said, Donnie, of pacing, keeps you on the edge of your seat, keeps you guessing the whole time, like what the hell is going on here? Are they just gaslighting everybody? Are we getting gaslit? What's going on here? It's I wouldn't say it's confusing, but on purpose, there's a lot of, you know, sleight of hand, until you
Hmm.
get to the part where the magician reveals his trick, so to speak, right? So
Yeah.
well done, well paced, well put together, great flick. Um, we
The
came,
main actress, oh, the main actress, she kind of reminded me of Mia Farrow.
yeah, I can see some resemblance.
Very soft spoken and very innocent.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah. I mean, once again, all the performances were good. Ronald Lewis is great as the chauffeur. Uh,
Hmm.
I'm blanking on her name. The one you were just mentioning. That's Susan Strasberg. She's great in it. And Todd, who's the mother-in-law.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, she's fine. Yeah, yeah. Doesn't really stand out, but those two gave great performances in this movie. So yeah, I was pleasantly surprised. But we came together beforehand, as we do here for Hammer Horror and Order, and we give out a 0 through 5 star rating, but we don't call it stars here on Hammer Horror and Order. We call them hammers, of course. So we came together and we decided to land on 3 hammers. So that's 3 out of 5 hammers for this one, which puts it in pretty good company. As
Yeah.
far as so far in this series, the other movies that have got 3 hammers are The Abominable Snowman, The Hound of the Baskervilles, The Brides of Dracula, The Two Faces of Dr. Jekyll, and The Curse of the Werewolf. So on our
Yeah.
on our scale, only 4 movies are higher than this. So it's in pretty good company. We just
And
We just couldn't quite put it up in the area of like Horror of Dracula or Curse of Frankenstein, right?
Yeah, it's probably the highest of the addendum, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, it is. I think quick glance, it is by far. Matter of fact, I think the only one that's close to it was the Snorkel at 2.5 hammers.
Hmm.
And Hell is a City that had 2.5 hammers as well. So yeah, these addendum ones haven't been some of our favorites of the series so far, but like we said off the top, we're about to get out of the addendum and get back on track. And how do we get back on track? Next month? Of course, we're in the middle of by the time we get to it, we'll be dead smack in the middle of the Spook Show Sucky Summer, which all summer long we're going to be watching vampire movies on most everything we do here on YouTube, and all the podcast episodes that come out every Monday at 6 p.m. East. But by definition, with this series, since we're watching them in order, we won't be watching any of the. Unfortunately, we won't be watching any of the vampire flicks. But I think we still got a pretty good title, hopefully, on our hands, and I think it's another film noir-esque thriller from Hammer next month. So we're back on track with Cash on Demand. It's the last Hammer release from 1961. And I'm pretty sure that one's got, without pulling it up, pretty sure Peter Cushing's in that one. So we'll be watching that next month. So back on track, regular scheduled programming. The Addendum series is finally over. So come back next month here on the YouTube channel for Cash on Demand from Hammer Horror and Order. And while you're here on the channel, please click the bell to be notified, subscribe to the channel and everything. Feel free to comment with whatever you want to say here on the bottom of the video, and go check out all the other stuff we've got here. Every month we bring you Video Vortex, and we bring you Grindhouse Gutter series, and of course all the podcast episodes get loaded up here on the channel too. So go peruse the channel, and thanks for watching. So for the Professor, Will, Tiana, Donnie, I'm Josh Weir from the All American Spook Show podcast, which, like I mentioned, comes out every Monday at 6 p.m. East. So go check those out, and we'll talk to you next month.
Thanks, y'all.
Bye.